I know that we have primed you up for the quiz not too long from this morning to talk in the short time I have about a serious matter before the fun and games of the quiz. And I said to myself that I wouldn't touch this at all because, to me, it was not a serious issue. But the media reported, we certainly did on September 17, 18, that Paul Buchanan, the beaten candidate in West Central St. Andrew, who lost to Andrew Michael Holness, that Paul Buchanan has filed a petition with the Constituted Authority looking to have the election result overturned, and that of course, according to the rules and the law, the Constituted Authority has 2 weeks in which to consider the application and determine then if the election court should come into play. Buchanan wants the result voided, and the effect of that would be to have the election run over because of what he says are serious irregularities. Now, it is no secret that no irregularities were reported to the authorities on election day. No irregularities were reported to the authorities the day after election day. Nor the day after that, 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 or the day after those days. In fact, prior to what Paul Buchanan outlined in his filing, the EOJ still has no document from any party in West Central St. Andrew which represents a complaint being filed about irregularities. Okay? Good. There's a process that exists, and Paul Buchanan is using the process. So, there you go. But it has gotten so serious, and I'm annoyed now, because I think we're using time and energy to talk about something that is settled as far as I'm concerned, and more than me, as far as history is concerned. This morning, I've taken the time to just pull up the last 4 results. 4 elections, rather, the last 4 general elections in West Central St. Andrew. I know Holness has now won 7 in West Central St. Andrew, 7 consecutive. I didn't go back to the very first in 1997. I started at 2011 and came forward. Yeah, just the last 4 to see what the trend is suggesting and whether Mr. Buchanan has serious grounds based on the history of how people vote in West Central St. Andrew to believe that him losing the seat is so out of step with what happens in that seat usually, that it must be that skullduggery and things of that nature influenced the result. I've never met the man, but I've always, had some time for Paul Buchanan as a man making the news, and when he was Member of Parliament in West Rural St. Andrew. But this latest one, and what caused me to come here to use this time to talk about this morning, I saw him on a podcast on social media, very seriously and brazenly, making some assertions. And I said, well, why does it appear as if Mr. Buchanan has friends in cuckoo land who are inviting him to rent a room where they reside? Why? And that's what pushed me here, because I'm saying, but this gone beyond ridiculous now. Okay? This matter is not the subject of a criminal investigation, so I feel comfortable talking about it in a way I would not if something was under criminal probe. So here we go, listeners. Those of you who've jumped ship and gone with Sandre, I'm still talking to you on this matter for now, all right? Watch me now. The 2011 general election in West Central St. Andrew, I remember it very well in West Central St. Andrew because that's where I was assigned for the day. I was senior reporter at Nationwide at the time, and I got that assignment on election day. When you look, and I brought all the printouts with me, 2011, 2016, 2020, 2025. The EOJ maintains an excellent website, excellent, with all the data you could need on Jamaica's electoral history. So that's where I got these 4 election results that I printed out, just West Central St. Andrew alone, the past 4 elections. People, the results in West Central St. Andrew, since from 2011 to now, remember, Holness has won 7 elections there. I didn't bother going back. I wanted to get the information here in good time. So I just went from 2011. I could have gone 2007. I could have gone 2002. I could have gone wherever. But I just chose just the last 4 to see what the patterns show. Okay? The pattern of voting in West Central St. Andrew can fit into a stencil without much alteration of the spaces in the stencil to make the liquid fit or the crayon fit or the pencil mark fit. It's almost a stencil you can just drop. It's almost like a mold. The results in West Central St. Andrew, certainly since at least 2011, and I'm certain if you go back all the way to when Holness won his first election in 97, the stencil argument holds. Okay? All right. 2011, he ran against Patrick Roberts. There are, of course, 3 divisions in West Central St. Andrew. There's the Molynes Gardens Division, the Olympic Gardens Division, and the Sivrite Gardens Division. Traditionally, the Molynes Gardens Division has the greatest number of polling stations, and the Sivrite Gardens has the fewest. Okay? Sivrite Gardens, in terms of polling stations, smaller than Molynes number 1, Olympic Gardens number 2. In 2011, what happened? In 2011, in Molynes Gardens, of the boxes counted in the 42 polling stations in Molynes Gardens in 2011, Patrick Roberts, the PNP candidate then, won 31. He received more votes in 31 of those 42 boxes from the polling stations in Molynes Gardens. Holness won in 11. Okay? And if you look at the areas, which is why I say it fits into a stencil, Drews Avenue Primary, St. Mary's Church, Balcom Drive Primary and Junior High, those places don't vote JLP. So those boxes will see the PNP candidate cleaning up as Patrick Roberts did in 2011. And if you looked at the picture at that time, the PNP would be way ahead in the election count. But people who don't understand these things and don't take the time to study them would see that and start raising alarm if the picture changed later, because they're going to say, how is it that the lead was so big for Buchanan or the PNP candidate and all of a sudden it dwindled? Which is just infantile reasoning, yeah? So in Molynes Gardens in 2011, Roberts emerged when the boxes from the 42 polling stations were counted. Roberts had a majority of 1,823 votes more than Andrew Holness. Same 2011 elections. You go to the Olympic Gardens Division now, which traditionally has supported the JLP. Molynes Gardens, of course, bedrock PNP. So Molynes Gardens, Roberts won Molynes Gardens by a majority of 1,823 votes in 2011 over Andrew Holness. Same 2011 elections, Olympic Gardens. There were 36 polling stations in Olympic Gardens in 2011. And when the boxes in those 36 polling stations were counted, Holness received the majority of votes in 24, and Roberts got the majority of votes in 12. When everything was tallied, Holness emerged from the Olympic Gardens division with a majority of 1,640. By the time they went to the Sivrite Gardens division in 2011, Holness had a majority of 1,222, and when you mats it, Holness won the 2011 election over Patrick Roberts with daylight to spare. So Holness lost the Molynes Gardens division, won the Olympic Gardens division handsomely, won Sivrite Gardens handsomely, hence he won the election. And people, every election that Holness would have won in West Central St. Andrew follows that trend. Let's go to 2016. In 2016, again, the stencil, same thing. It's a mirror. Patrick Roberts again. And Patrick Roberts finished the 41 polling stations in the Malines Gardens division in 2016. Patrick Roberts won the majority of votes in 28 of those polling stations. Holness won the majority in 13 of the polling stations. In Olympic Gardens now, Holness won 25. Well, he got the most votes, or got more votes. Well, the most votes. He got the most votes in 25 of the 38 polling station boxes. And Patrick Roberts got the majority of votes in 13. Severide Gardens, Holness got the majority of votes in 19 of the polling station boxes. Roberts got the majority in 12. Now, let's stick with Severide Gardens for a little bit. In those 19 boxes that Holness won in Severide Gardens in 2016, in 14 of the 19, he received more than 100 votes. Roberts got the majority of votes in 12 boxes. And in 5 of those 12 boxes, he got more than 100 votes. Remember now, Severide Gardens 2016, Holness got the majority in 19 boxes. Roberts got the majority in 12 boxes. In Holness's 19 majority boxes, 14 of those boxes he had 100 plus votes for him. Roberts, in the 12 boxes he won, only in 5 did he get more than 100 votes. Okay? That's significant. Come forward to 2020, the COVID election. Story the same. Malines Gardens, won by the PNP. Olympic Gardens, won by the JLP. In Severide Gardens in 2020, there were 29 polling stations, and those 29 boxes, Holness got the majority of votes in 10 of the 19. No, he got the majority in 29, in 19, and in 19. Yes, in 19 of the 29, he got the majority of votes in 2020. Buchanan got the majority of Patrick Roberts got the majority of votes in 10. In 10 of the 19 boxes that Holness got the majority of votes in 10 of the 19, he got over 100 votes. While Roberts, for the 10 boxes where he got the majority of votes, only in one of those boxes did his vote count over 100. Okay? That's Severide Gardens. 2025. The Malines Gardens division was won by, no surprise, the PNP, as the PNP always does. The PNP won the Malines Gardens division with Paul Buchanan on the ballot. And he emerged with a majority of 1,146 votes over Andrew Holness in Malines Gardens. When they moved to Olympic Gardens now, Holness emerged with a majority. 1,946 votes were his majority. And then by the time they got to Severide Gardens, the division that people say, oh, there was chicanery there was fraud, there was malpractice, because how the Severide Gardens boxes come like that. Of the 29 polling stations in Severide Gardens, those 29 boxes, Holness got the majority of votes in 18 of the 29. Buchanan got the majority in 11. Of those 18 in which Holness got the majority votes, in 10 of those 18, he got more than 100 votes. For the 11 boxes that Buchanan got the most votes, only in one of those boxes did he get over 100. The point being made is this: the lead that Holness is building up box by box by box by box by box is just significant, because he's crushing it in Severide Gardens. 29 boxes there in Severide Gardens, and he got the majority in 18, and in those 18, 10 of them, he got over 100 votes. And for the 11 boxes in Severide Gardens that Buchanan got the most votes, only in one did he get over 100 votes. So you see the disparity? So at the end, Holness finished Severide Gardens with 1,310 votes more than Paul Buchanan. So to make it simple for you, I did a little graph. In 2011, remember, West Central St. Andrew has 3 electoral divisions. Malines Gardens, which is traditionally PNP, Olympic Gardens, which is traditionally JLP, Civrite Gardens, traditionally JLP, although some people, and they are correct, they say West Central St. Andrews is not a JLP seat and is a wholeness seat. But let's work with the party. In 2011, in the Molynes Gardens division, Patrick Roberts got 1,823 votes more than Andrew Holness. When they went to Olympic now, Holness had a majority of 1,640. And then by the time they got to Civrite Gardens, Holness had a majority of 1,222. So the majority for Holness in Civrite Gardens and Olympic Gardens erased Roberts' advantage in the Molynes division, and so Holness won the election with daylight between himself and Patrick Roberts. 2016, Patrick Roberts had a majority of 1,545 in the Molynes division. When they counted the boxes in Olympic Gardens in 2016, Holness emerged with a majority of 2,233. And in Civrite Gardens, he had a majority of 1,386. The effect is the majorities in Civrite Gardens and Olympic Gardens made the majority for Patrick Roberts in Molynes redundant. It destroyed that and gave Holness daylight in the final count of ballots. 2020, the COVID election, Patrick Roberts only had a majority of 621 in Molynes. Remember, in 2011 he had a majority of 1,823 in Molynes. In 2016 he had a majority of 1,545 in Molynes. In 2020 his majority in Molynes collapsed to just 621. In Olympic Gardens, Holness' majority in 2020 was 2,303, more than his majority in 2016 and more than his majority in 2011. And then in 2020, Holness' majority in Civrite Gardens was 1,562, greater than his majority in Civrite Gardens in 2016 and greater than the majority in Civrite Gardens in 2011. Of course, Holness won in 2020. Then 2025. It's the same story in the Molynes Gardens division, where the PNP always has a majority of over 1,000. Paul Buchanan finished with a majority of 1,146 votes relative to the votes that Holness got. But by the time they got to the Olympic Gardens division, Holness' majority was 1,946 and his majority in Civrite Gardens was 1,310. Nothing strange about it. See the paper them here. Just go to the EOJ website, click general elections and click download detailed view. Scroll to about page 24, 25. That's where the West Central St. Catherine seat count by polling station is listed. And just look for yourself. So what are we doing? Why are we wasting time talking about skullduggery and irregularities and Buchanan on a media tour saying I won the election and all this nonsense? Are we living in the place he's invited to buy a piece of land, cuckoo land? I think we need to take a break. Come right back. I swear to you. Why does anybody have to explain this to anybody else? It's beyond me. Wouldn't you just read the thing and look for yourself, man? Buchanan did nothing that Patrick Roberts has not done. In the Molynes division, Buchanan got 1,146 votes in the strongest of the the strongest division for the PNP of the three divisions in West Central St. Andrews. He got 1,146 votes and still couldn't cross it. Patrick Roberts got 1,823 votes in Molynes in 2011. 1,823, almost 700 more in the strongest PNP division, and still fell to Holness. Then, the margin that Holness beat Buchanan by in Olympic, Roberts did better than that in 2011. Roberts only lost by 1,640. Buchanan lost by 1,946. Then in Civrite Gardens, Roberts lost by, relatively speaking, only 1,222. Buchanan fell by 1,310. Then mighty God of Daniel, why are we here talking about this thing? Why is this man on a crusade telling us that the election was stolen? Why are people saying that he was a victim of irregularities? What kind of puppy show is this that is extending beyond reasonable acceptance and digestion? No, sir. Boy, listeners, viewers, I apologize for wasting your time. It's 10:25 now. Put on my jacket and go beat up a little youth.